What's going on, everybody? This is Mike Goldstein, stickers of the C.A.N Report, coming at you with a little mini podcast, something for myself. In honor of Movember, this thing, the mustache, Movember, I wanted to focus on men's mental health. I think that's very, very important. And Movember focuses on Men's Mental Health Month, although it shouldn't be just for 1 month. We should always be caring about our mental health and making sure we're doing things that are taking care of ourselves and our brothers, also our sisters. But we're losing a lot of people due to suicide. A lot of people have demons, and those demons get the better of them. And sometimes they feel like they're alone. And I think we need to let people know that they're not alone. That there's a lot of us out there that struggle or had struggles and overcame those struggles. If they still have those demons, they're still fighting them, but they found the right tools or weapons and to slay those demons and keep them at bay. I'm one of those people that have demons. I'm one of those people that have had struggles in my life, in my personal life, career, and growing up. Some people know my story, some people don't. When I was growing up, I was a victim of physical abuse, mental abuse. It was tough childhood, physical abuse from my stepfather, mental abuse from my stepmother. I dealt a lot with that when I was a child and lashed out immensely when I was a kid, constantly getting in fist fights, constantly getting kicked out of school, suspension, just doing whatever I can to get in trouble. And I guess maybe to, punish my parents for putting me in that predicament of dealing with step parents that didn't give a shit about me. And I carried a lot of that on my shoulders all the way up into my 20s and 30s. And then I joined the fire service, and I thought that was where I get to find that brotherhood. I thought that's where I wanted to be. Everyone told me how great the brotherhood is, and it's a family. And when I joined it 12 years ago, it was a family. It felt like that. We had a core group of people that loved to be around each other. We did camping trips, went out for beers. We had parties at the house. The older generation before me, when I joined my former department, we were all call members, and they loved everything about being a call member and being a firefighter. And they made sure to show me what it's like to have that brotherhood, to be able to bust balls with the best of them and be able to talk about your problems and be together. But no one ever really talked to me about the other side of the fence of, for me, it's not from what I've seen on the fire grounds or for car accidents or cardiac arrests or structure fires. None of that really seemed to bother me. I think that helped from my childhood of growing up with dealing with some bad stuff. But it's actually what's inside the walls that happen that I wasn't prepared for. And I think it's important that people know that there's other things that go on that cause PTSD and some mental anguish amongst our firefighters that's not spoken of very much. We always think that members are hurting themselves or cutting their lives short because of what we've seen or what we hear and the stress of the job. But honestly, some of the stressors are inside our walls of our own firehouses. And it comes from a term that I just recently been reading about is organizational betrayal. That came from two fire wives in the fire service that have lived it and have dealt with that. And so they wrote an article about it in fire engineering, and I think they hit the nail right on the head. They talked exactly what I was going through. Tracy McCart and Kathy Edwards, both wives of very prominent firefighters who have dealt with these issues themselves, and those two firefighters do talk about it freely. And the wives talk about how they had to cope with that and the impact that it caused on their personal lives inside their homes and their families. And honestly, it's amazing they spoke about exactly what I have dealt with. Man, when I joined the fire service, I was full of vigor. I was full of energy and excitement. And before I get into the meat and potatoes of it, I want to actually read what I wrote in my journal many years ago. And it was probably approximately about maybe 5-ish years ago that I wrote this. I started keeping a journal of my feelings. I've kept a journal ever since I was a child, dealing with physical abuse and mental abuse when I was a child. And I saw many psychologists, and the psychologists said it'd be good for you to write and get those feelings on paper. So I wrote a lot when I was a child, and off and on, I stick with it. And when things are bothering me, I write in my journal. Sometimes I'll write about fires, the good and bads of the fires, things I could have changed. I think it's really important to keep a fire journal. That will be another discussion. But this was really important for me to talk about, and the fact that it's really beneficial to write down your feelings, and if you can't control them, you need to get help. Here's a little something I wrote a couple of years ago when I was feeling down and lost. I am very bitter, jaded, and angry person. I am constantly trying not to let my feelings overtake me. I have some good days, but most are bad. I cannot snap out of it. All the problems that I have with this place plague me constantly. I had such a burning passion for working here, but now it's extinguished. I just sludge through the days. At times I feel like a zombie. I'm here in body, but dead inside. It's truly better for me to show no emotion, to be lifeless. I've tried to be a mentor and an advisor to the ones younger than me, the less experienced in life. This is met with a grin and a gentle shrug of the shoulders. I've made the decision to stand aside and let them learn on their own, hopefully not to repeat the mistakes that I've made in the past. I will be mute. I will be robotic. I will not feel. I will not show emotion. I hate that I feel this way. My depression is bringing the group down. I can't break free. And that was a good couple of years ago. I just felt motionless. I felt that no matter what I did, it wasn't good enough, or was met with snide remarks that I wasn't here for the department. Things that I did going above and beyond didn't matter. And I'll read just on one more. I have felt for some time that you have been pushing me to leave. I only really hear from you when you're really angry with me or annoyed by me. I am hurt because I feel that I have given so much of myself to the department, and I have worked so hard with you and for you. I'm angry with myself for not overcoming this. I'm angry with myself for bringing my team down. I truly love being on this department. My world is doing this job right here and actually loving what I do. I want to feel that again. I want to smile and laugh with my crew and everyone else. I am working on me. I'm trying to fix me. Please understand that when you talk at me, it brings me back to my abusive childhood, and I shut down. I couldn't express myself to my stepfather or stepmother. I would crawl inside myself and completely shut down. So that's just a snippet of some of the things that I write down, and no one's actually ever heard that before. So I'm using this platform to let people know that that's the real me, that I think it's important to be real and transparent. I know that social media is not a place for therapy or to seek advice. I'm not asking for therapy. I'm not asking for advice. I'm sharing my world with you. So the people that are struggling or feeling this way or experiencing these betrayal of their organization, that they know they're not alone, that there's a place for them, that they don't have to fight this by themselves. Article that was written by McCart and Edwards, they hit it spot on. So I'll just give some snippets. Organizational betrayal within the fire service is a growing issue that occurs when the trust between firefighters and the department is broken. This can happen due to a variety of reasons, such as unfair treatment, lack of support, or unethical behavior by department leadership. When firefighters feel betrayed by their very organization they are committed to, it can lead to feelings of disillusionment, frustration, and a deep sense of betrayal. The profound impact on home and family life is very deep and very detrimental. They nail it. I have had many, many issues with my leadership in my former department. It was pretty much, I can do what I want. If you don't like it, you can leave. There will be hundreds behind you. I don't care. I've dealt with mental and physical abuse from my former leadership. I didn't know where else to go. I loved the job so much that I just kept putting up with it. And I would go home miserable. I would go home confused. My question I asked myself repeatedly was, why am I doing this? Is it worth it? Why do I keep going? I didn't know who to turn to. I didn't know who to talk to. If I complained, it would get back to that person. So that trust was broken. We think we have an inner circle, and we think that we can talk to people that were supposed to be our brothers or sisters, and then you happen to talk to the wrong person. You can't help but open up and start talking about your problems when people ask about things. And unfortunately, when you open up yourself, especially complaining about complaining about your leadership or your chief, it gets back to them. And usually you only are telling one person and you know who that person is. So they break your trust. And in my experience, when I've approached those people and would tell them, hey, this was between you and me, usually it's, well, I'm sorry, you didn't say it was just between you and I. So unfortunately, you actually have to make that caution to them, like, hey, this is a serious conversation between you and me. I just need to talk. That's really a big thing, is that you have to talk about your feelings. You have to talk about what's bothering you. Leadership is leadership, right? Department chiefs or assistant chiefs or town administrators, they are gonna. It's a tough job to be under them sometimes, and they're gonna beat you down. And it's important to have people as a support system so you can talk to them. So I did try that, but unfortunately, it caused more problems than it was worth. I kept following that certain person for a long time because I trusted in their judgment and their skills. Of my former leadership, he had a profound impact on me. I did follow him. I hitched my cart to that wagon because I he had great knowledge and great skills, but lacked the personal skills that made you want to completely follow him. The things that had been said to me just really cut to the core. The fact that you don't get, an attaboy, a good job. I'm not expecting to get a pat on the back when I show up to work. I don't think anyone needs a pat on the back when they show up to work. But when they go above and beyond, whether as a crew or even as an individual, recognition helps. It keeps them motivated. It lets them know that I'm doing something right. And you would have to, go through hell and fire to get something like that from him. Now, mind you, I've switched departments. This is not my current department that I'm talking about. It's been a tough life. It's been a tough road. I honestly still have dreams about that person. It really actually pisses me off that I still have dreams of him coming into my current department and trying to get me fired, because that's my fear, that he still controls my life. And I think it's a huge stressor. And I've worked on that. And I'm doing a lot better. But my family suffered for that for a long time. For very many years, I just kept casting aside of that, hey, it'll be better tomorrow. It was more of like I hate to use the term, but I'm sorry, there's no other way I can say it, the battered wife syndrome, where the husband will beat that wife and she'll keep coming back because he didn't mean it. That, he said those awful things to me because he was upset about the grocery bill, or because he had a tough day at work, or he didn't mean to throw me down the stairs. It was just an accident because he was angry that the dog peed on the floor. It's always an excuse, and the victim always comes back and makes excuses for that abuse. And I was doing the same thing. I'd always say it's going to be better tomorrow. It'll be better next week. I had job interviews lined up, and I would always cancel on them because I was afraid of leaving, because I was afraid of missed opportunities. I was afraid that maybe I wasn't going to make it in a new department. What if that new department or that new chief is just as angry or bitter as he is, and I've gone to a worse environment? So I'd always talk myself out of those job interviews, and I wouldn't further myself because I was scared. And I think a lot of people stay in these toxic work environments because they are scared of the move, especially when they have spent so many years with that department. They cut their teeth on that department. They know the city or town inside and out. They know their trucks inside and out. They know exactly what they're going to inside those buildings when they go on calls. They've dedicated their life to that department, to that community, and they don't want to leave that and have to start all over again. Especially for me, 45 years old, and I started new on a new department at 45 years old, 45-year-old probie. That's kind of a scary thing to do. And I sometimes feel that I'm not marketable as much anymore because of my age. I feel like, we're athletes, and that, just like baseball players, basketball players, football players, when they reach a certain age, they're not marketable anymore. And we are athletes. No matter whether you're a call, volunteer, or full time, you're an athlete. We're doing amazing things in stressful situations, and you start to become unmarketable after you start to age. So I felt that way. And thank God that my current department didn't think so. They believe in me and they trust in me, and it's been a great year and a half so far of being on a new department. But before that, it wasn't easy. I dealt with a lot of self-doubt. He made me doubt myself and my skills, and if I'd be able to succeed anywhere else. That was kind of like his effect. If If you leave here, no one else is going to love you. If you leave here, you're not going to make it. But also to tell you 1,000 times, if you don't like it, you can leave. You're an at-will employee. I can fire you whenever I want to fire you. That was a daily reminder. And I still would come back every day. And I'd go home and go, I'm ready to leave. Screw this guy. I'm out of here. And then I'd turn around the next day and go, oh no, actually he's cool to me today. He's a super guy to me today. And maybe I was just being sensitive and I don't need to leave. I'll stay. And I would do that every day. And every day I'd come home and I would be in a pissy mood and I'd take it out on my family. I'm just sulking or complain. And honestly, I felt so guilty that I'd always complain. I'd always be complaining to my wife. She was the one that had to hear it all the time. And it's not fair to her. I know as spouses, we have to be the shoulder. We have to be the rock and listen to those problems and help them work through those problems. But I tell you what, my wife didn't sign up to hear me complain about my job or my boss every single day. And I was doing that to her every single day. And there was times she would say, then why don't you just leave? And I really didn't have the best of a reason. My fear was that I was going to miss out on a promotion. Truth to be told, I missed out on a promotion without leaving. I was passed up for a promotion. And yeah, I was bitter about it. And yeah, it was for personal indifferences is why I was passed up. I speak freely about that to anybody who wants to talk to me about it. Yeah, we say a lot of things in life, is not fair, and you're absolutely right. But in this article, Organizational Betrayal, they absolutely hit it on the head again. They talk about the fear of what happens when we have to deal with these situations. As firefighters, we pride ourselves on our work. We pride ourselves in our department. And when you have somebody that's constantly beating you down, you start doubting yourself of your pride and your commitment to your departments and your community. It's a tough world, and we don't talk about it enough. And there it is, PTSD. I tell you what, it's out there. It's not diagnosed properly, I don't think. I think that we have a big problem with understanding that there's more to our stress than just what we see and how we have to act on when we're on duty. But the fact is, there's a real stress within our workplace, especially when we're dealing with a toxic work environment. And again, I'll go on one more, another that they write about: increased stress and anxiety. Organizational betrayal often leads to increased stress and anxiety. Firefighters may worry about their job security, fairness in promotions, or the safety of their working conditions. This constant state of anxiety creates a tense atmosphere at home where even small disagreements can escalate quickly. And again, they're right. The fact of where they just nail it right there, the job security and fairness in promotions, I've lived it. I was there for it. They're speaking the truth. They're speaking from actually having to live that life and having their husbands come home and complain about the fact that they're being passed over for promotions because of this toxic work environment or a toxic leader. It's real. It's out there. I've been passed over for one promotion. I had another promotion that was dumbed down because he didn't trust in me. He didn't have faith in me. That he just changed the job description because he could change it. And there was nothing I could do about it. And he made sure to tell me that. If you don't like it, you can leave. If you want the job, you can have it. If you don't, there's the door. He didn't care about that position. He didn't care about whether I was going to be happy about it or not. And yeah, I had to deal with that for very many, many, many years. I tried to make a statement about that when I left that department, and then I was shamed for it at one of our association meetings. I was shamed and kicked out of our association because I had made a public post about the toxic work environment and workplace PTSD. And unfortunately, my voice wasn't heard. It was dismissed. And I haven't seen those people ever since. It is for the better, but I tell you, it still cuts deep. Those are people I considered my brothers. These are people that I considered laying down my life for. I spent a lot of weekends with them. I sacrificed family. I sacrificed health to be with them. And I know some people don't care about the sacrifices we make when we talk about leaving our kids or our families at home to go as a call member to go to structure fires or to go for motor vehicle accidents. I was one of those guys. I would leave home. I would leave birthday parties to go to help my department when they needed help. He didn't care. It didn't matter. And I didn't do it because he cared. I did because the job needed to be done. But when you have somebody in that leadership position who doesn't thank you for sacrificing the time away from home, it starts to weigh on you after a while. And again, every day it was the same thing. It just wasn't good enough, and he didn't care about your sacrifice. It only would matter when the public was watching, and then a good statement would be brought up about how well the men or women work for that department. I did go through therapy. I do talk about it when people ask. Therapy was good. I got a lot of things out. Unfortunately, though, I don't stick with it as much as I should. And that's really important. If you're struggling, you need to continue to go. It does help, but if you stop, you're not going to get better. And I know people are afraid to leave, and some people, you just can't jump ship without trying. And I did try for many years. I continued to try to work on myself. I continued to try to work with my leadership department and try to be better and not think about it's not just me. It's we are a team, we are a group, and again, honesty and transparency. I was written up for having a bad attitude. After I got passed over for lieutenant, I shut down. I became angry. I didn't want to be around anybody. I felt betrayed and I was confused. And honestly, I felt that job was mine, and it hurt to the core to be passed over and the job given to somebody who I felt was inexperienced, who felt that I felt that they didn't earn it. They didn't put their time in. And again, as us being firefighters, we're very prideful on experience and knowledge and the sacrifice we do to get these promotions. And this person walked in having spent no time on our department and got the job over me. And that hurt deeply. And I was told, you got to get over it. I was told multiple times from my leadership that you need to get over it. If you want to be angry, don't be angry at the other guys, be angry at me, but you need to get over it eventually. You just can't flip a switch and just get over something. It takes time and an understanding from others. But unfortunately, that person didn't care. There was no understanding. Um, he's got a business to run. That's what it was. It was a business. Yeah, a department, but it was a business. And he made that very clear. And I had to move on and just try to let it go, but it still hurt. And so I started shutting down with my team. I started shutting down with members of my department where nobody wanted to be around me. Nobody wanted to talk to me. I became somebody that I never wanted to be. And I was letting him win because I was becoming beaten down, because I was pulling away. And anytime anyone talked to me, the only thing I ever talked about was me being treated unfairly. The fact that I felt that I was betrayed and that when I got passed over for that, and how much the other person sucks and I'm better than him. And, that's all I would ever talk about. Where, again, nobody wanted to be around me. And I made sure I kept myself away from everybody. I just completely mentally shut down. I didn't care about the job. I didn't care about how I was presenting myself to other members or even the public. And where apparently it was affecting the other members of my department, where they felt they needed to make a formal complaint. And they brought that up to my leadership, and my leadership felt it was the best interest to put me on probation and suspend me for not suspend me, but put me on probation for 6 months and have that letter in my file. And it's because of my attitude that was affecting the core of the department. And that actually shook me out of that state of trying to blame everybody else and to punish others. I realized I was angry at one person and I shouldn't be angry at everyone. And I was starting to get better and coping with that. It still was a Band-Aid. It was an eye-opening experience. I felt like I came out of sobriety. I felt like I'd become sober. Like I was in that drunken state where all of a sudden that switch just clicked in my head, and I realized I need to wake up. I need to be better. I can't let him win. I need to snap out of this. And I didn't need him telling me that. And I think that's why I kept struggling to get out of that funk, is because I wasn't doing it for him. And he kept telling me I needed to be better or I needed to snap out of it and let it go. Well, it doesn't work that way. But unfortunately, it took that experience of being written up and hearing the reports and statements from my peers that I was causing a work environment that wasn't conducive to them. And it was like going through AA. And I cried a lot. I actually approached members of my department that I felt that I had wronged, and I opened up to them and I apologized to them and had serious conversations. And it was tough, where I couldn't stop crying every time I spoke to them. And that sucks. We don't cry. We're firefighters. We're men. We don't cry to other men. Well, I did it. I did a good couple of guys that I had wronged, that I had given them attitude and disrespected. Even the person who got the promotion over me, it was unfair to punish him. He didn't know what happened. He didn't know the history of what was going on between me and my chief. But I was angry at that person who got the job over me, and I made sure he knew that. And so I punished him by doing that. I wanted everyone to feel the same way I was feeling. I wanted everyone else to suffer, and that wasn't fair. But instead of talking to me, they all just made those complaints, and that's how I found out. It's okay to talk to people. I know they're the person you're afraid of to talk to is going to be angry, but trust me, from personal experience, I wish somebody would have reached out to me. I wished a coworker would have pulled me aside and say, "Hey, Mike, you're screwing this up for everybody. You need to figure this out. We love you and we love working with you, but right now you're miserable and you're making us miserable. It's not fun anymore." I would have loved those conversations. I would have really taken that to heart. And I know it's tough talking to people who are struggling mentally, who will always appear angry or sad because you don't want them to lash out at you. You don't know what their reaction is going to be. It's either going to be angry or it's going to be crying, or you don't know what it is. And that's a scary thing to have to approach somebody. Nobody likes conflict. And I think it's, for me, it would have been really, really helpful to have them approach me and talk to me, at least put a hand on my shoulder and say, "Mike, we're here for you. We know you're struggling right now and having some tough times, but we're going to help you get through it." That would have meant the world to me. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. So a lot of people they hid that, and they just made the complaint. But I do thank them now, because I will never be that person again. I will never um, be angry as that and shut down and punish my coworkers and my brothers and sisters for the way I'm feeling because somebody else caused it. It's not fair. And it wasn't fair to my family. And again, from this article, the impact of mental health. The mental health of firefighters is already at risk due to the nature of their work, but organizational betrayal adds another layer of difficulty. Feelings of betrayal can lead to depression, anxiety disorders, and even post-traumatic stress. It's true. I mean, again, these two incredible women write from their experience, and I take solace in the fact that I'm not alone in these struggles. I take solace into knowing that it's a big world, and the people I've spoken to have, and especially in the state of New Hampshire, have dealt with the same thing. Some people are scared to talk about it because they're afraid of it getting back to either their former or current departments. And I don't blame them. It's a scary thing. Again, nobody likes conflict. And when your fire chief finds out you're complaining about them, it's a scary thing, especially when you have somebody that is not afraid to hide their anger and they lash out at you. And for me, I shut down. I shut down a lot when I'm approached by somebody who is expressing a lot of anger at me, especially in a professional setting. It's from my history of my abusive history, and it brings me just right back to being a child. And I shut down and I take it like I was when I was 12 years old. And I let them talk at me. I let them talk down to me, and I just walk away. And then I have the shoulda, coulda, wouldas in my head, and it sucks. And I've worked really hard to not let that happen again. We have I spoke about it before of, you got to you water the grass on your side of the fence. And I've done that for many years. And I worked really hard to try to continue to have the greenest grass. And I tried and it didn't work. And I was fortunate enough to be able to move on to a different department who believes in me and trusts in me. And it's worked out really, really well. And I can't say it enough for being part of a new department that backs me and believes in me. And I haven't met one negative, angry, toxic person there. They've all been supportive, and especially with this new venture that I have here. No one has made fun of me or they mean, they'll bust balls. You got to have thick skin in the fire service, but no one's ever tried to make me feel embarrassed for bringing this to a new platform. And I commend them, all of them. The department's a great bunch of people. They get it. I'll talk about one more thing about this article is about seeking professional help. It's super important. Like I just said, going to therapy, it took me a while to realize I needed to talk to somebody. My emotions were getting the better of me. Thank God I didn't lash out at my family, but I was shut down at home. And again, all I did was ever complain about the job. And my kids had to hear about me complaining all the time. My wife had to see me cry about the job. It was one of the most stressful years of my life trying to make it work. And I knew I needed to seek help. And I finally got that. And I sat down with a therapist and we talked about the job and talked about the person that was causing all these problems, but also talking about my childhood as well. And I think anybody that has abusive history from family or other people, it's important to get that out to understand that sometimes that can relate to your work and your career, and you have to get those feelings out. Advocate for change. They talk about that. I understand you could try to advocate for change in your own department, but if your leadership, if that one person is incredibly toxic, it's not going to work. They just don't want that change. I know from experience. As much as I told him directly or indirectly, it didn't seem to matter, and it hurt greatly. But one thing I have to say is they do list here is, unfortunately, it's not always welcomed by toxic organizations. It is vital that the firefighter network with like-minded people. This could be joining a local Fools chapter or attending conferences where there are other firefighters that are into the job. They nailed it. I think that's why I've become addicted to fire conferences. It is my therapy. I go there for the skills and the training, but man, I'm meeting people that are like-minded, who love the job, but also have experienced the same things that I've experienced. It's life-changing. And you meet some solid people who actually care about you. We are thousands of miles away, but we've become family, and we check up on each other, and we talk to each other, and they believe in a higher power. And I tell you, it's been one of the most life-changing things of meeting new people. It's amazing that we can become brothers and so close to each other, even though we live in different states. And I always talk about the Dadgum conference. That was one of those things. That was one of my first big conferences that I went to when I left my department. And when I started my new department, I asked if I can go to this conference. And one of the battalion chiefs says, I fully endorse that. I fully support you to go to these trainings and conferences to learn more. And that meant so much to me. So I went to Texas, I went to Dagum, and all I met was just amazing people, supportive people. We didn't talk too much about the job or my experience or my past. I didn't even think about it, to be honest with you. I was in a whole new state of mind. All I was thinking about was talking to these new people, these hard chargers, people who loved God, loved the job, and loved people and loved spreading that gospel of loving the job and loving each other. There wasn't one person who made fun of anybody. There wasn't one person who had shit on anybody else for not having a skill set or not being the biggest or not being the baddest. They all treated everyone equally, and that was one of my biggest life-changing events as well, is going to that conference. And I always go to that conference because honestly it's like an annual retreat for me to hang out with my brothers, my sisters, my friends that I've now grown to love immensely, and I have profound respect for them. And if you're struggling, if you need to get away, you need to get away. Being in your own little bubble, being in your own pissed off little world is not going to help you to get better. Going to these events is going to help you. You're going to mingle and network with people that you find out are definitely struggling the same way you're struggling and have had dealt with these things, and they might be able to turn you into a direction that can help you overcome these problems. You can come home feeling refreshed and rejuvenated. You might still not like where you work, and hopefully you find a new place to go, but at least you've met some new friends that you can turn to and talk to and understand that it's a big world out there and people are dealing with the same problems you're dealing with. The other one for me that had a profound effect on me was the Explorer Academy, the New Hampshire Fire Explorer Academy. When I was going through that for the first year, now I think it's 2 years ago now, I was going through those dark times. I was going through the darkest times at work. I didn't know what to expect at the Explorer Academy. I had no idea about the people I was going to meet or the kids I was going to meet. And when I finished that week at the Explorer Academy, that was the best week ever. That ignited my passion again. And it just so happened that I received a job offer from my new department. So it was a double-edged sword for me. It was both. Like I had the Explorer Academy and I had a new job offer. So both were going really well, and it washed away a lot of that anger and doubt that I had going on for a while, and it opened my eyes. And the Explorer Academy, I can't say enough, it is a life-changing event. The people that go there, they walk away. The adults walk away every year saying how much this has meant to them, that it has changed their life, that they They're energized, they're rejuvenated, they love the job again. There was a lot of guys there that I worked with for the first year that said the same thing that I was saying. I was ready to walk away from this career. I didn't know where to go, what to do. I was done. I hated where I was. I hated who I worked for. And they had the same issues. But I walked away feeling so refreshed from that Explorer Academy. So if you're struggling and you're looking to try to find a way to relax your mind and to take your mind off of these issues, that's one of those places. And I can't recommend it enough. Is if you know a volunteer group, whether it's an explorers or juniors or church or Boy Scouts or anything that's going to help you to not think about work and to complain constantly about the life struggles that you're having, those are the ways to go. And I find that trainings really help me to overcome a lot of depression or feeling down. Honestly, is when I'm feeling down every now and again, and I know I have a conference coming up, I'm looking forward, and I come back again rejuvenated, refreshed. I just got back from Lieutenant Joey D conference in Long Island, New York. I met a lot of stellar dudes, hung out with a lot of great guys. I met a lot of great people who live in New York, who live outside of New York. I've met my guys in my New Hampshire area. They're all solid guys, and it was a blast. I got knowledge from the instructors, but I got friends. I got new friends, and that means a lot. And hearing their stories and hearing where they came from and what their new journeys are going to be, it's awesome. And I follow up with them as well. So I can't express it enough. You need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to get out there and meet new people. This is life changing. There's great people out there, but you got to get outside of your own area and experience it somewhere else. And people are here to help you. You just got to find them. You can't wait for it. You can't sit at home and wait and wish somebody would call you or text you and ask you how you are. Sometimes you do have to go out and meet new people, and they will reach out to you and ask you how things are and make you feel better. My world lights right up when I get a text from a fellow brother or sister from that I met at conferences or even in state that I've met at conferences, but they live right next door or they live in towns over from me. It puts a big smile on my face. And where if I see them succeed, follow them on social media and see if they got a new job or a promotion, it makes me happy. And that's something to look forward to. So there's some places that you can go to if you have a hard time finding these conferences or you feel that you can't afford them. You can reach out to them and ask them uh, to for some help financially if you really want to go to some of these conferences. They usually do a lot of fundraisers to help people who can't afford them. Um, that's what they're about. It is about that brotherhood. It's about getting people out there and want to see them join these conferences. If you're struggling, there's resources out there. Next Rung is one of them. Next Rung is all about us. They want people to live. They want people to succeed in life, and they don't want to have another person take their life because they don't think there's a way out. There is always a solution. You do not have to have a permanent solution to your temporary problem. And believe me, there's help out there. So if you think you're struggling, or if you know you're struggling and you don't think that you can get over it, and you have to do the extreme, I'm telling you, it's not worth it. There's other ways. You can reach out to people. You can reach out to me. I am an open book. I've learned to be transparent. That's one of the reasons why I got on this platform, is to talk about mental health and to talk about my struggles in life. My life hasn't been easy. I had to work for everything I've gotten. Nothing was handed to me. And there's definitely days in my life that I felt like giving up and I felt like there was no way to turn. You have to get help. You have to go out there and find the people to talk to. Next Rung is one of those people you can talk to. Next Rung has been so amazing of getting the word out there and helping us, helping firefighters, helping first responders. You can go to their Facebook page, Instagram, websites. Their number is, you can text it, and it's 1-833-NXT-RUNG or 833-698-7864. They're there for you. They have resources to help you. You just, please do it. People need you. If you think that the world's going to be better off without you, or if you think that people will mourn you more because you're gone, it's not worth it. I'm telling you right now, people care about you. You're something to someone. And I want to see you there. I want to see you succeed. I want to hear your success story. If you have a success story, I'd love to hear it. We need more of that. Also, there is another number you can utilize as well. 988. You can text 988, and that'll get you some help. That's a suicide and crisis lifeline. And anybody who's in the union or part of the IAFF Behavioral Health is another resource. They have a lot of resources. They raise a lot of money for firefighters' mental health and utilize it. That's what it's there for. We need to do better protecting our own. Stop eating our own. There's toxic work environments. There always will be, unfortunately. But you don't have to be a victim. I thought I had to be a victim. I thought there was nowhere else I could go, that I had to continue to take this abuse, the physical abuse, the mental abuse, feeling like I wasn't worth anything. And again, it's not, you don't have to do it. There are ways out. You just have to find it. And I give all the credit to my wife. She has been the rock. I remember when I got my job offer from my current department, I hemmed and hawed for a little bit. To be honest with you, as much as I wanted to go, it took a little kick in the pants to get me to go for my wife. And one of the things that she said is, if you don't go, if you don't take this job, then don't come home and complain about the job that you're currently at. And that really hit home. And she was 100% right. I had to do it. I had to pull the plug. I gave as much as I could. I bled as much as I could. And it wasn't going to change. And the fear of missing out of promotions or a new truck or something, it wasn't worth it anymore. I didn't have that love in me anymore for giving as much as I could. And you are worth it. You're worth it to somebody. And I just can't say it enough, that you believe in yourself. You're a good person. And it took a while for me to realize I'm a good person, that I do have things to offer to other people. And it's not right to constantly take it home and have your kids or your wife or your significant other have to constantly deal with those problems. And their heart bleeds for you. They probably go in a corner, or they probably drive home to work worrying about what you're going to do next, worrying about if you're going to get fired, worrying about if you're going to do something stupid and take your own life because you're so miserable and so unhappy. But they won't tell you that because they're scared, and they want to be the rock. They want to be supportive for you. But deep down inside, they're scared for you and for your health. And to speak about health, the stress that we have, that mental stress of that toxic work environment, it's friggin' real. I was feeling sick all the time. I was having migraines all the time. I didn't feel like going to the gym. I didn't feel like really eating. I just felt empty. And that stress is with everything else we do with our job, is not needed. You need leadership that is going to support you. You need leadership that's going to be honest with you. And you need leadership that's going to treat everyone fairly and equally. And if you don't have that, you need to look outside that department, because I tell you what, it's not going to change. If it does, I'm happy for you. And I love the fact that you can stay at your current place. But don't waste 5-10 years on the same person, on the same department, hoping for that change, and it never happens. And then you're left thinking to yourself, why did I just waste half of my career on a place that doesn't give a shit about me? Because I'll tell you what, they don't, if that's the kind of place you work for. And again, from experience, when you're told multiple times, you can leave whenever you want to leave, I don't need you, you're replaceable, you finally have to take that advice. When you have a boss that tells you, I feel like you're just chasing bugles, that hurts. You want your members to promote. You want your guys to go up the chain. You, as officers or as leadership, you want to see your line guys move up and become better than you. That's the whole point, is to make our firefighters better than what we were, and to leave it better than we found it, by having strong firefighters give a shit about this job and wanting to spread that knowledge and passion to the firefighters that are under them. And when you have somebody that's telling you that you're just chasing bugles, or you're just promoting just to promote, that cuts deep, man. And then you ruin that for that person. That person then goes, you know what? Screw it. I don't want to be an officer anymore. I don't want to promote, or I don't want to mentor anybody. I don't want to put myself out there just for somebody to tell me that I'm doing it for my own personal reasons, or You're chasing bugles. That's a horrible thing to say to somebody. And it's been said to me. And I had those feelings. Why bother to promote anymore? Why bother trying? Why bother taking classes? Because I'm not going to go anywhere and no one's going to give a shit. So it takes a while to get out of that mindset. There's days that I start thinking about those dark times. It takes a while to get out of it. But now people know where to go. I know where to go. I can reach out to friends. I can reach out to family and work it through. I know how to work through those problems. I know not to make other people suffer when I'm having some of those days where I'm doubting myself. And like I said, even at my current job, there's days where I get in my own mind and I start getting down. And honestly, they see it. But what's nice is that my coworkers, when they see if I'm having a tough day or if I'm in my own head, they come up to me and they ask me, "Are you okay? You don't seem like your normal self. You're not smiling. You're not laughing." And that means the world to me, of them asking me, "Are you okay? You seem down today. Do you want to talk?" We need more of that. If you see somebody struggling, if you see somebody who is down and they're not acting like themselves, talk to them. Ask them if they're okay. Ask them if they want to talk. You don't need to go to somebody else and say, "Hey, it looks like Jimmy over there is feeling down. Maybe you should tell the chief that he needs to go home." That's not going to work. You're just going to piss them off. I'm telling you from experience, you need to talk to that person. Be their friend. You're their brother. We call people, that in the fire service, our brothers and sisters. Be their brother. Be their sister. Put your hand on their shoulder and ask them if they want to talk. I'm telling you, it'll do wonders. I think a lot of problems that we have is people are afraid to talk to them. You gotta get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? We hear it a lot now. I'm telling you, people were a little more being into that same mindset of trying to get uncomfortable and being comfortable with it. It would have helped immensely with me, but I've learned to do that with others. So please, if you know someone who's suffering, if you know someone who's feeling down, or if you see a toxic leadership, if you see a lieutenant, a captain, a senior man, a chief, assistant chief, anybody who's in those positions that shouldn't be treating somebody like that, say something. If you see something, say something. Again, in my experience, everyone was afraid to say something, because if they said something, then he would come at them and he would make them feel small. So everyone just followed suit and they wouldn't say anything. And I think some people live in regret for that. I know I do as well. When I was under his wing, I passed judgment on people that I shouldn't have passed judgment on, because if I had a different point of view, that if I had a disagreement or if I felt differently and made it aware, he would come at me or make me feel small or make fun of me. So instead of doing the right thing, I would do the wrong thing and shut down or point my finger at that person with him, because at least I was in the same corner and he wasn't going to pick on me. And it's not right. And being victim of bullying is real in the firehouse, and it can be from leadership as well. So that's my story, at least some of it. I try not to go into too many details, but again, I am an open book, and I want people to know that where I'm coming from is real, is from the heart. And when I talk to people I meet in person, whether I'm instructing or at the firehouse or outside the firehouse, I'm keeping it real. And when I talk to our students who are there to learn at the academy or outside the academy, I'll always be real with them. I will never make them feel insignificant. I treat everybody equally. I feel everyone's got a place in life, and that when we're teaching them, screaming and yelling, it don't work. It just creates training scars. You can have a different touch with them. Sometimes people just need a different approach. We need to calm things down sometimes and understand that people have a different way of learning, and just don't write them off and just don't let them fail. Be a mentor to them. And we need more people to speak up. We need more people to realize that it's not right, and toxic work environments should not be tolerated. So thank you all for listening. I appreciate all of you. Love all of you. Thank you all for the support so far that I've received by doing this podcast. It's been a lot of fun. We got some more great guests, and I'm going to have these fine women on here and talk about what they have dealt with, why they came up with these topics, why they're so passionate about it. I'm really excited to have them on board. So hopefully we'll get them on soon. Tracy McCart and Kathy Edwards. Their husbands are Todd Edwards and Kevin McCart, two amazing dudes that I respect immensely. and I respect the hell out of them. Thank you so much for allowing them to be a part of everyone's lives. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. The group that Tracy and Kathy have created is called the Fire Wife Life LLC, and I'm so happy that they came up with this. And the article that they wrote means the world to me. It is a real thing, and please read it. Again, the title is Organizational Betrayal and the Impact. Organizational Betrayal on Home Life, the Spouse's Perspective. It's real. It does impact their lives as well as ours. So again, thank you to all of you. I hope I didn't ramble on too long. If you ever want anything more on this, please let me know. And again, please reach out if you need help. Next Rung, IFF, text 988. If you're seeking help, if you need someone to talk to, please. This world needs you. We need you in it. You're something to someone. I love all of you. Take care.